All right, let's look at Chapter 17, Career Choices. So you want to be a what? This PowerPoint covers career inventories, where we get to kind of see what students would like to in the way of careers, maybe what they have some ability for. And so we'll take a look at some career and interest inventories in this particular chapter. Career development tests. They're also known as the following things: vocational testing or assessments, and then we can also use them for employment evaluations, kind of see what kind of ability somebody has before they go to work. Whatever terminology we decide to use, the goal of these assessments is to help people better understand how their interests and personalities best match up to a career or employment opportunities. So the key words here are interests and personalities. We want to see if we can find the right fit in the way of a career for these people. And so what do they do? Well, we've got some scores that'll come out of this thing. They're intended to reveal information regarding an individual's interest, which in turn will help in determining a vocation. And so we look at an interest inventory and we see where somebody's interest maybe might fall into the healthcare field. Well, then obviously there's a lot of opportunities within that large career area, and so then they can start narrowing down on exactly what kind of specific career occupation that they would like. But it does go beyond just some scores. We get a degree of insight into a person's personality, their values, both intrinsic and extrinsic values, and their desires. What are some of the things that they want in life? And so I got a quote here from the last thing about career counseling is the career. It's all about the person. And I can't agree more with Dr. Krishak, because it's all about the person. You know, we've got all kind of careers out there that take all kinds of special abilities, but when it's all said and done, how does that person fit? What do they bring to the table to be able to be a success or maybe a failure in that particular career? So we always want to focus on the person, not really the career, whenever we're talking about career counseling. And certainly these entrance inventories are certainly one part of career counseling. One of the oldest entrance inventories is the Strong, developed by Dr. Edward Strong in 1928. And this was designed to kind of help military people get put in the right job there in one of the 4 branches of the military. And so they asked basically people what they liked or disliked about jobs, and in general, what kind of areas of study they like, what kind of personalities they got along with or didn't get along with, and a little bit about their leisure activities. And so this covered a whole wide variety of elements of a person's life. Then it compared responses to the responses of individuals in certain vocational roles, and so they tested people in all kinds of occupations to see what their answers were in those particular areas, and they just kind of matched up the test takers' answers with the answers that from people who are already there in an occupation, and tried to kind of match those up to see, to a degree, to see if they would fit in that particular occupation. And he basically looked at 6 general occupational themes. Realistic, which is basically hands-on, real activities. Investigative, where you go out and solve problems. Artistic, whether they had ability in painting or writing or things like that. Just being able to give way to self-expression. Social, they like to be around and like to help others. And then we got enterprising. They like to be their own boss. They prefer self-management activities. And then last but not least, we had the conventional group, which liked to have some kind of structure in their life and order in the workplace. They knew what they had to do. They knew who they were answerable to. They knew the chain of command and how it worked, and so they were very happy living in a very structured kind of and working in a structured environment. Now, you see how we have a new thing here. John Holland created these 6 kinds of themes that we just got through looking at, and you kind of see that they are kind of opposites of each other. They're kind of like on 2 ends of the scale here, but you see how they're all kind of interconnected to each other. Now, Holland created what is called a self-directed search. The adjacent themes are similar. The opposite themes are not, like we just said. And I'm going to kind of go back to that page. I just went across, but notice how there's some relationships between the themes diagonally to each other. Here and here, here and here. They're all sort of connected, but yet straight across they are opposites here. Now, one thing about the self-directed search, it is self-administered. You don't need anybody to monitor it, proctor it, or anything like that. You give it to the person, they take it, and then they also score it. And then they can also interpret it themselves. So it's not like they need anybody to go out there and counsel them to get the answers. They can pretty much do it themselves. Now, your results take on a 3-character code, and this is an example of one. R would be the realistic type. They are less enterprising and even less social. So you see how we have a bolded R right here. So that's sort of their dominant characteristic. And then after that, they proceed less and less in importance. Now, those types not included in a person's code at all mean that the person resembles these types of least of all. Alright, so, just because these show up doesn't mean that they have, that's exactly where, where they stand. And so, we're looking to see some kind of trend, to see, what major focus and personality type that these people could be with the SDS. And so Holland goes on to show more about the model here, where he starts to put basically on this side of the hexagon you're dealing more with people. Here, things, ideas, data, and you see all of the occupations that sort of lend themselves to those particular characteristics, and then also careers. And so it's a very powerful model, and one that's been used quite a long time. Richard Nelson Broles come up with 5 rules about taking any kind of vocational tests. I couldn't agree more with this one. Not all tests are right for all people. You know, one test doesn't do it all. You need to do more. No test is the test for everyone. Means that it's going to be the perfect test. It's going to find out exactly what that person's all about. There's just nothing out there like that. Trust your intuition. If you're doing some career counseling and have a feeling through your experience about where somebody would be successful in a career or not, trust your intuition. There's no one like you. You and I and everybody on this planet is unique. And so it's not like we can all be the same or want to be the same. And then last but not least, remember, it's only a score. It's not a life or death kind of thing. It's just a score. It may be right. It could very well just as soon be wrong. It's just a tool. And then we've got a list here from your table 17.1 from your textbook about the Strongs here, your SDS from Holland. The Cooter Occupational Interest Survey. I keep getting some calls from the Cooter people. They've done a whole lot of work on this test. Notice it's pretty much high school through adults, so it would kind of fit us here at the technical college level. And I guess one of these days, if I ever get rich and I have a budget of maybe $20,000, $30,000, I may, get that software. But like I've told the salespeople from Cooter, don't get your hopes up anytime soon. But a lot of systems do use the Cooter to kind of help in career assessment. And like I said, it's been out a long time. And then you got the Armed Service Civilian Vocational Interest Inventory. Remember we talked about the ASVAB? Well, this is a civilian version of it. Again, high school through adult, and it's just a way. They're really not going to hook you up with armed services types of careers, but obviously there is a connection there, but yet it may look at more civilian types of employment. And then your Campbell Interest and Skills Inventory. I'm really not familiar with this one at all. I just, for some reason or another, just haven't had a whole lot of exposure to this one. I do see that it's made by Pearson Assessments, so the Pearson Publishing Company is probably the ones who developed this thing. But still, 15 years through adult. So we're looking at trying to get people placed in and connected to jobs here. To summarize, your career direction depends upon your personality, your values, your interests, and all kinds of other things working together to make you or me. And obviously, figuring out a career path can be tough, but some very clever vocational psychologists and career counselors have provided us with some great tools for getting started. And so they are tools. You got to know how to use them, and if you use them right, you might get some good information that's going to really help make that decision about a career path.